bases dropped, and if you saw the first 7 seconds, you'll know that I was here before the banner was. It's a Friday. We kind of know what's going on. There's a match to be held involving the United States and England a little later on today. And that is where I'm going to just lay it out. All right, so here's how things are. Anticipating a guest at 10 o'clock. And this individual is like trying to hang on to a comet or try to catch rain with an open hand. So if the guest is able to make it at 10 o'clock, fantastic. But 9 to 10, as you're watching on Twitch, for the first hour, for those of you who catch the broadcast later on your favorite podcatcher, lay it on me. What is on your mind about today? When it comes to level of apprehension, DEFCON 1 through 5, are you like Barry Corbin as War Games made its way through and the computer was taking control? Are you at DEFCON 5 scrambling the bombers and, ready to get Sack on the line? Morning, Will. Morning, Sean. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Morning Kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, you can follow them on social media, Kickoff Coffee CO, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Get 15% off of your purchase, and they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game. Kickoff Coffee at kickoffcoffeeco.com. So the opening kickoff, level of apprehension, people. Yeah, Sean, I was going to say, for those that might have missed Wednesday, Sean was actually listening on the plane to Puerto Rico as he was making his way down to the PR. Noon, Will, to answer your question. It is noon, and I think we're going to go from like noon to 1:30. That's the plan. So this is also part of the questions for today. Wild Heaven, and we'll be there. I think we're starting about noon. We'll go from noon to 1:30 so everybody can get nice and up to a fevered pitch level by the time the match starts at 2 o'clock. So Sean was actually listening from the plane on his way to Puerto Rico, and now he's on the bike trail in Puerto Rico listening to the show. Well, I'm glad that we have that kind of reach, that we can work our way from one end of the planet to the other, and that you can listen to us live as we go. So, all right, we had a match this morning, and we've got a match going on right now. The host country has yet to score in the tournament, and they are halfway through their second match. So you're looking at 90 plus 45. So they're at 135 plus minutes of not being able to score. Senegal finally did score in the 40th minute in the first half. So they are up 1-0 in what is basically an elimination game in group. The way things are right now in Group A, and this is where today is, it's Group A and Group B. Group A is Netherlands, Ecuador at 3 points. They both won their first matches 2-0. Senegal and Qatar obviously lost their first matches 2-0. So if either team loses today between Senegal and Qatar, they're out. Elimination game. So loser of this one, loser leave town, except that you have one more match to play. Group B is where the interesting part happens. So early this morning, Iran and Wales, they were the early match. Wayne Hennessy, the keeper for the Welsh, clattered into the leading scorer for Iran in the 85th minute, I believe. Initially, he was given a yellow. It was upgraded to a red. So Wales was down to 10. And at 90 plus 8 and at 90 plus 11, Iran scored twice. So that presents the situation where going into the second match today in Group B between England and the U.S., England, 3 points, 1 match played. Iran, 3 points, 2 matches played. Goal difference of -2. The U.S. 1 match played, dead even. And Wales with 2 matches played is at -2, and they won't have Wayne Hennessy for that third match against England on decision day in Group B. So the way that this is lining up for the United States, you get a result today, fantastic. You get a result today, you get a point today that puts you a point closer to Iran. If you end up getting full points today, you're at 4 points, you're ahead of Iran, you're top of the group. But look at it this way. If there is no result today for the United States, they play Iran on the final match day, and it's win and in. And I think that if you're looking for that kind of a situation, it wouldn't surprise me if Iran just kind of went to the Laredo bus garage, found every MARTA instrument they could, and just absolutely parked it for that entire 90 minutes. And it would be up to the United States to try and puncture the 15 players that Carlos Queiroz will have behind the ball for the entire match. Because his number one priority is going to get them out of group. It's up to the United States to try to find a way around that if it gets to that point for match day 3. That is where we are. Yes, Emilio, it does. Absolutely. That's the way that I'm looking at it. Helps the U.S. draw today the need to beat Iran. That's what I'm staring at. That is what I'm looking at with this match today. And thank you for the heads up, Will. Yes, because what we're trying to do, yes, Senegal did just score, so they're now, yeah, I know. So Emilio, yes, helps the U.S. draw today, then they need to beat Iran. So that's what you're staring at if you're the United States. What I want to know from all of you guys, I want to know level of apprehension. I want to know concerns. I want to know level of optimism. I want to know who you have in your. So during a TV broadcast, what we'll do during the early part, during the preview, we'll sit there and we'll have our players to preview. Who are your players in the spot shadow? I want to know who you have on your focus. I want to know who you're locked in on both sides. It could be both the U.S. and England. And if you missed it, Jason and Jess had Greg Garza on Atlanta Soccer Tonight last night. And if you missed it live on 92.9 The Game, it's available on your favorite podcatcher. So recommended listening, Jason and Jess, when it comes to the competition going on that involves the world and soccer. So I'm laying it out for you here in this first hour. I want to know who you're focused on, both sides. It can be the U.S., it can be England. I want to know what your concerns are. I want to know what your matchup is. I want to know what you think the final score is going to be. I'm laying all that stuff out for you here in this first hour of the show. And if we end up getting our guest for the second hour, then we'll get into other things, gossip, rumor, innuendo at the tail end of the show. But what I want to do is I want to focus on what you guys think is going to happen today with the United States and England. And that is on Big Fox and Telemundo and your favorite carriers at 2 o'clock. Their pregame show started when the tournament started, so they're just going to continue to work their way through. So lay it all out for me today. What do you guys think about the match in and of itself? And this is shaping up to be win and in for the United States in this particular thing. All right, so Niall, for the U.S., focused on Christian Pulisic. I think he'll be very important on exploiting any space that England leaves. True. And one of the things that would not surprise me here, Niall, go back to Chelsea and Newcastle when those two teams played in the Premier League. Kieran Trippier had a very hard tackle on Christian Pulisic to remind him that he was going to be there all day long. I don't think Trippier got a card, but I think that Trippier reminded Pulisic he was going to be there in his hip pocket all day long. Does Kieran Trippier do the same thing today if he starts? And that's another thing. When you look at the starting lineups, how much juggling. Gareth Southgate has said that he is going to roll out the same starting 11, but with the health of Kyle Walker improving, I wonder if it's going to be Kyle Walker instead of Kieran Trippier. If Gareth Southgate decides to twist something a little bit. So I think that Kieran Trippier, if he starts, he's going to remind Christian Pulisic he's going to be there all day long, round 2. England. Niall's focused on Harry Kane, understandable. The U.S. defense can't give this guy any opportunities along the same lines with Trippier and Pulisic. Who's going to be the one to give the early reminder to Harry Kane that he's going to be there all day long? Is it Ream? Does Tim Ream sit there and try to remind Harry Kane, you got hurt last time out? Maybe it's it's a reminder about what it's like to be on a hurt peg. So that's one of the things that you look at. How healthy is Harry Kane? Now, I know that Garrett Southgate and Harry Kane both said, yeah, you've had full practice, all that kind of stuff. But how healthy is Harry Kane? If he's being physical, morning, Abby, if he is being physical, to create a word, and he's knocked off his legs. Happy leftover day, David. I know. I've got leftovers in the fridge, and I'll probably get to them tomorrow. And we'll get into Thanksgiving stuff as well here in the first hour of the show. When it comes to the defense for the United States going up against England, there are a couple of things that I have concerns about. But the biggest thing for Harry Kane is Harry Kane 90 minutes fit. Obviously, if they have a lead and Garrett Southgate feels comfortable about it, then he can bring in Marcus Rashford and or Callum Wilson as a part of that discussion. How healthy really is Harry Kane? How healthy really is Harry Maguire? Yes, he's fit, and yes, they're fit and free to go. The center back pairing of John Stones and Harry Maguire, I think, can be exposed. Morning, Brett. Morning from us. I know that for you it is 1:15 in the morning, maybe something like that. But good morning, Brett, and we're talking U.S. and England. Starting to drive. No more typing, and Harry Kane should sit out, according to Abby. So there you go. Yes, heading to finish the setup at Wild Heaven. We will see you there. Okay, so Emilio, U.S. needs to play 90, which isn't a strength. Pulisic needs to play the game. Stop complaining about officiating. If I was England, I'd be hacking him. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that he's going to be. I think Trippier is going to be trying to bump Christian Pulisic off his two legs a lot, off his pegs. He's going to get bumped around a lot. He's going to get physicaled, and it's going to be up to Christian Pulisic to be available in space. Nile, prediction. I think it's a 3-2 loss for the U.S. Wish it would be a better result, but for me, I don't know if that'll be the case. I do think and hope it will be a high-scoring game, and that will be interesting. Is it going to be one that's going to drive everybody crazy? And so, like I said, once again, everybody this morning, lay it all out for me. Give me your predictions. Give me your focus, your player focus for U.S. If you want to focus on a player for England, focus on a player for England. What do you think is going to happen? Levels of concerns. I know we got into this on Wednesday, but now with the match that happened this morning with Iran beating Wales, and it looks like a win and in, that's kind of what we're staring at here. So lay it all out for me this morning. This is almost like a group therapy session before the fact. Get everything off your chest so you can go into watching the match with the least amount of trepidation possible. Just lay it all out, get it all off your chest. That's what this hour is all about. We're going to get it all off our chests so we can be prepared, breathing, and ready to go when this match happens with the U.S. and England. So 2:15. Okay. So 2:15 for Brett. So there we go. I hope all is good. Well, I think Brett, it might be all good depending on the result for the United States. And I think that that's kind of what everything's kind of focused on right now. It's a lot of apprehension, especially with what happened with the Iran match this morning with Wales. So Iran, 3 points, but they've played 2 matches. U.S. is looking like a win and in the group. Wales will be without Wayne Hennessy for their final match of the group stage against England. 1 point for Wales in their first 2 matches that draw against the U.S. in match number 1. Sean, not all that optimistic. England wins 3-0. He wants the United States to win, but you can't stop Kane and company. And that's the other thing that's a part of all of this. The absolute depth that England has. You know, when you can go to your bench and you're Gareth Southgate from your starting 11, and you can bring in Phil Foden, you can bring in Jack Grealish, you can bring in Marcus Rashford. Yeah, that's what Gareth Southgate is staring at. Nile, U.S. has to take any chances they have in transition, and I think that's where the U.S. is going to That's where it's going to happen for the U.S. in transition with space. Not taking chances is what will be costly. Emilio wants the point. Full bus parking, like we think Iran's going to do in match number 3. Goalless or bust. Nile. Certainly hope Reyna starts this match because for me, I think he can cause the U.S. problems, and he's one of the best players we have. I understand that the focus will fully be on Iran, but let's show England what we got. No doubt. I know that those of us who are not there at the tournament, we're already focusing on math. We knew that math would be involved. We just didn't know that it would be this kind of math that would be involved. So that's where we are. A lot of folks were thinking that, if we do this, and this, it might come down to goal difference with Wales and Iran. No, now it's different. It's a different kind of math that you got here today. So we'll focus on that kind of stuff. Reyna, no doubt. Reyna can cause England problems. Sean, England, too much firepower. They could win it all. So you're saying it's going home or coming home? I still think my money, my juice boxes, Sean, I'm going to have to stick with Argentina. I know what happened against Saudi Arabia. But since I wanted the happy story with Lionel Messi, I wanted the Hallmark movie. That's kind of where I am. I had Argentina. I'm going to stick with Argentina. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time, especially when it comes to juice boxes and predictors. But that's just kind of where I am. Emilio, the U.S. has no attack. We haven't seen it in qualifying. And I think that's another question today. Who do you start up top? Is it Sargent? Is it Haji Wright? What does Greg Berhalter think that he wants to do up top? And the other element in all of this, I'll leave that to you, Emilio. Spain for you, especially after what they did to Costa Rica, man. Woo. No doubt. Spain is definitely up there. Flashes of the attack, but it's the World Cup, according to Nile. No time for still to get things sorted. The other element in all of this that is in my hip pocket is the yellow card issue. And the silliness of having only 2 yellow cards be a match suspension, meaning that you would not be in the last match of the group stage. Does that play into the lineup here? Now knowing what the importance of the Iran match is going to be, do you do things differently there? I was inclined even before this morning with the yellow card issue not to start McKinney and not to start Dest because you wanted them for Iran. Now, the issue is going to be, do you want them for the Iran match, not worrying about the yellow card accumulation? And obviously, if I didn't start Weston McKennie and I didn't start Serginho Dest, that meant that I was going to probably start Joe Scally and Brendan Aronson. So that's how I was looking at it. The yellow card issue for me was part of my thinking and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Abby, I thought you were driving. Subbing better be much better. Rack, as always, happy Friday. Yes, no doubt. Nile, still pulling for Argentina because of Messi, deserves it so people can stop getting on his case of him not being the best because he's not won the World Cup. Emilio, 3GB doesn't change or adjust. There's no need to sort because that involves critical thinking. And that's been one of the things that we have noticed with Greg Berhalter is that the reaction time is a little slow, whether it's tactics or substitutions. We'll sit there and the Wales made a tactical adjustment bringing in Kiefer Moore, and it took a while for the United States to figure out what to do. When teams make their adjustments in the second half and Greg Berhalter takes a little while to get the engine warm before making a key substitution in that regard, that's something that we've seen over the last handful of years. So, I mean, that's in this match that means so much. That's going to be something else that I'm going to be looking at. So I had a lot of thoughts when it came to starting 11 for various reasons, and yellow cards in Iran played into it for me. Okay, so thank you, Abby. Just checking. So she forgot to put out the garbage bins. Now she's starting to drive. Niall. Can't really have slow reactions here when the World Cup is a life or death situation. Yeah. Right reaction can really change the game for you. Saw it with Wales. No question. So for me, when I was looking at what I would do for a starting 11, it was I'd keep the back the way that it was for the most part. But like I said, I'm still hedging on the right-hand side. I'm still hedging there. Robinson, Zimmerman, Weah, yes. Turner in goal, yes. Now, like I said, once again, for me, is it now Scally or Dest on the right? And wondering now about the uber importance of the match against Iran. Midfield, Aronson instead of McKinney. Tyler Adams, obviously. I had Gio Reyna in my starting lineup. And then I had Weah, Wright, and Pulisic. So that's what I was looking at. Like I said, Haji Wright, Josh Sargent for me. But I think that, once again, you're looking at going in behind that back line, trying to find ways behind John Stones and especially Harry Maguire and maybe Luke Shaw, figuring out what to do to get behind them. And I think that having speed will be able to do that. So that's how I was looking at starting 11. So Rack, number one thing for me that drives me nuts about Greg Berhalter. To me, his reaction slowness comes from that place where he seems to need to prove to everyone else that he's smarter. And no, Rack, there's nothing wrong with just waking up. No, this is Black Friday. You're supposed to be able to take it easy, even though today is what today is. But okay, so to answer your question and recap what happened, yeah. So no doubt, every game of this World Cup, Rack says, is 10-plus minutes of extra time, and OMG, yeah. All right, so here's what happened once again in the Wales-Iran match. I think it was in the 83rd or 84th minute. Wayne Hennessy is outside the area trying to challenge Tasmini, I believe, for possession, and Hennessy went in high, and it was a high boot. And he missed with the boot, but he still collided with him. And initially it was a yellow card. Then Hennessy, they go to VAR. It's upgraded to a red. So Hennessy's out, which means he's also out for the England match. Then you end up with 10-man Wales and a substitute keeper getting scored upon at 90+8 and 90+11. So that's where we are in group right now. 25 minutes to go, Senegal leading the host country by the score of 2-0. So once again, that sets us up. Reminder of today, yeah, insane. And it's not the only part of this tournament that has been insane, Rack. No question about it. So the game right now, Qatar-Senegal, elimination game. Somebody loses, somebody's out. They cannot advance to the knockouts if this happens. And the host country has now gone 155 minutes without scoring in the tournament. So they're on a roll right now. But yeah, so that's where we are with the United States. It is looking more and more like win and in. Regardless of what happens today, win and in for the United States. So that's what we're staring at. And yeah, karmically appropriate. Okay, yeah, no doubt, karmically appropriate, Rack. No question. And there are some things that if Jarrett can escape his family, there are a couple of things in the news and notes section to discuss with him. One of them involving Alistair Johnston. So we'll keep an eye on Alistair Johnston going forward. And interesting. So, all right. So now as I'm looking at conversations out of Charlotte, looks like Jessica Charman's trying to come up with a wager with Willie P. So we'll see what happens with that kind of wager. And we'll see if okay. All right. So in addition to everything else. So if England loses, according to Stephen Goff of the Washington Post, Wayne Rooney says, I have got to call it soccer for the whole of next MLS season. Yeah, I know. So many late goals. Crazy. So if England loses to the United States, Wayne Rooney in D.C. has to call the sport soccer for all of the next season in Major League Soccer. That would be funny. So that would be something to keep an eye on going forward. Yeah, so Wayne Rooney's got a bet. Do any of you guys have any bets going on with today? Do you have anybody who is a friend of the Three Lions? Do you have any bets going on today? That's the question, in addition to everything else. So what is, like I said, this is what we're going to be going through here this morning. What's your starting 11? What's your concerns? Who are you focused on? Niall has given us a couple of folks. Emilio's been giving us a couple of folks, too. Obviously, the discussion's been on Greg Berhalter a lot this morning, not a surprise. But for the 6-2 and 7-0 beatdowns, I would like the stat on goals scored in extra time versus regular time. Feels like how our season went a bit, LOL. So, yeah. Extra time and regular time. So, wow. Okay. So let me see if I can, let's workshop this. Well, let's workshop this. Going all the way back to match day 1. Qatar and Ecuador. I don't think there were any there. England and Iran. I think we had the Iran goal, the PK. So that's 1. Let's see. France and Australia was a no. Germany and Japan was in the middle. I think Spain might have had one. I think Ghana had one in the 3-2 when they were trailing. So I'm looking at 2 in Iran and Wales and 3 elsewhere. 5 totals. Does that sound right, guys? 5 to me, I think, is the number off the top of my head with all of the late goals. And Rack, I think Reyna's playing. No, I think Reyna starts. I think that Gio Reyna starts in this one. I think he does. Like I said, my lineup has Reyna in it. My lineup's got Aronson in it. My lineup has Tyler Adams in it. No Weston McKennie. Debating Serginho Dest because of the yellow card, so I would have Joe Scally perhaps. Backline's pretty much the same. Weah and Pulisic up top. I'm hemming and hawing on Haji Wright versus Josh Sargent, but Reyna is in my lineup. So that's kind of what we're staring at. So that's kind of what it's like. And Rack, maybe, yeah, we got to watch all the games. Got to watch all the games. So Rack once again is up. Maybe I just watched all the wrong games. Might be me. I watched a lot of 0-0, LOL. Turned off Japan, Germany too early, convincing myself you shouldn't watch USA England for their sake. Well, then let me ask you this, Rack. What happened first time? Did you watch USA and Wales? What were you doing for USA and Wales? And see, now this is another part. This is another part that we have to get into here. Pardon. All right. Traditions, rituals, and superstitions. I call them rituals. I don't call them superstitions. So let's get into it. What were you doing, you and the collective? What were all of you doing for the first match? Specifically when the United States scored, and then specifically when Wales scored. What were you watching? Were you not watching? What were you doing? Then what I would suggest is if something positive happened while you were watching, great. And then when something negative happened, we've got to figure that out. So we've got to figure out your viewing habits for this match. Did you watch and get a draw? If you watch again today, do you think you're going to get another draw? If you didn't watch and you got a draw, does that mean that what? How can you not go home from work? How can you not go home from work? D. Graham, we got to work on that. All right. So dialing in early is one of the toughest people to find in this or any other industry. Poppy Miller.
Hello, guys. How are you? Hi, John.
Poppy Miller. All right. So now I have to go ahead and promote the fact that you're here. And so I'm going to ask while I'm typing, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was so lovely. Thank you. I actually went into New York City, which I don't know. By the way, I'm so sorry about my camera. I'll just give you a preview. I don't know why it looks so blurry. I've put my England shirt on and everything, and it's making me a bit dizzy looking at how it is.
But you've got the good fuzzy lighting with the tree and the three lions and everything. So no, that's good.
I tried my hardest, but I know it's going to make everyone feel a bit. I don't know what is going on with my laptop, so I'll turn it off for now. But
No. You got to keep the camera on. We have to see the Christmas lights. We have to see the fuzzy Three Lions jersey. No,
it looks a bit holographic. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm going to have a look at my camera settings in a second.
I think it's just the soft lighting of the room. I think that's what it is.
But Thanksgiving was great. I went to New York and went to the Macy's parade, which I'm not sure if that is complete madness, which it was when I got there. So we managed to see a couple of floats from about 1,000 miles away in a very crowded area. So now I've been there, done that. It was a lot of fun. But today is the day, though, that I've been looking forward to all week, honestly, even since the World Cup draw came out. So today feels like the special occasion, not yesterday for me.
Well, okay, so let's lay this all out, and this is what we've been talking about this is the first half hour of the show. We were wondering about concerns, predictions. I went through the whole TV open thing where, like when a game starts and play-by-play in color, they're in the booth, and then you have the players that are in focus and the spot shadow and everything. Let's lay this all out. Who, if you and I were calling the game from the booth, we have the title card come up, matches going on, who would be your players that you're focused on for both the U.S. men's national team and for England?
Oh, I think that, well, for England, honestly, I feel like we're all a bit too excited after their last result, aren't we? Against Iran with the 6-2 win. And for me, it was all the attacking players that stood out. However, I will say Harry Maguire in that game for me was amazing. And especially in attack, he could have had 2 or 3 goals. He must be the most unlucky footballer sometimes at both ends of the pitch. So he's always one that I'm watching because he gets so much criticism in England, so much criticism for Man United. And then when the roster came out as well, it was like he was the name that everybody was talking about. So he stands out to me. And I just hope that today it's for all the right reasons. But then I think that it has to be the attack for England. Harry Kane, Saka, Sterling, Rashford, Grealish. I mean, there's so many players that can make an impact off the bench, on the bench. But I think as well, Jude Bellingham was one that in the last game really stood out. He's the only player that doesn't play in the Premier League that's on this roster for England, and he was just fantastic. I love watching him play in Champions League. So I was excited to see him as part of the squad. And as you can tell, I'm very excited about England. We do this every year, don't we? We get really excited and then something happens. So yeah, that's definitely the England side. Then for the US, I feel like I got really criticized for saying this, but I still stand by it. I feel like a lot of the time they play like an under 23 team. And I know that they're a very young side and they, have so much experience yet to gain, but you just truly never know what you're going to get from them. I think, Tyler Adams for me is the Tyler Adams and Anthony Robinson are the two that really stand out to me for that team. But I find them nerve-wracking to watch because every time they're about to kick off, you think, what are we going to get today? And I suppose you could say that about England to an extent, but with the US, it just has a much different feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I would say definitely those two. But Tyler Adams, he just runs everything in midfield. So I feel like he doesn't necessarily always get all the headlines. It's always, Christian Pulisic and maybe Weston McKennie and Gio Reyna. But for me, Tyler Adams is the heartbeat of that team.
Poppy Miller, CBS Sports, CBS Sports HQ, Serie A coverage, international competition coverage. Is there anything that you're not doing soccer-based at CBS Sports? No.
We're doing a bit of everything that we can possibly do, which has been amazing. It's been so much fun. I think that doing the Champions League is obviously such an incredible competition, and we always do a whip around before kickoff where we bounce around each ground just before they're about to play, and it takes me back every single time because you see the atmosphere and you see the Champions League ball in the center circle and all the players stood out there. It's just they're nights like no other. But then for me, Serie A this season and last season as well it's been incredible. We've got a fantastic group, but I have really invested now in that league. And I think it's a league that I didn't necessarily pay that much attention to growing up because it was all about the Premier League and the Championship and Champions League. But what a fun league that is. And I'm having the best time covering that.
And on your reels, by the way, if you don't follow Poppy on Instagram, she has some reels that are posted as a part of her day-to-day in Instagram. And they had you doing a dance. And I give you full credit that you were doing the dance that was requested of you in 2-inch heels. I give you full credit for that.
I have to tell you a secret about that I begged the boys to do that. I put on my Instagram, they begged me to do this, which made them even more angry. But I said to the boys in the morning, it was about 6:00, and we were laughing at it on TikTok. And I said, come on, let's do it. And normally Marco Messina is always up for doing anything fun, dancing. Mike Grella takes a little bit more convincing. But I finally got I didn't think they were going to do it. And then when we finally did, we honestly could not stop laughing for maybe 30 minutes because it was more funny to us that Mike Grella had actually agreed to do it, which we thought would never happen. But then when he saw I put it on Instagram with, they begged me to do this. That was cherry on top.
Okay, all right. So once again, just to prove that you are in fact in both video and audio, but choosing not to show your video. Go ahead and flash up real quick. There we go. Okay, so you do exist. Yes, you do exist with a Christmas tree, and legitimately, I think the Christmas tree is what's setting that whole thing off.
I know. That's what I was thinking. You know, I've got my laptop balancing on a fake present as well. I've got a great setup today.
Hey. It's all good. That's the beauty of this whole thing. Since the audio is what ends up going out later, but the video part is the best part of all of this stuff.
Okay, I'll leave it.
You mentioned Tyler Adams and Jude Bellingham. I think that matchup today is probably going to be one of the best 1v1 matchups to look at. How Tyler Adams handles Jude Bellingham from what we've seen from Jude Bellingham so far.
Yeah, I think so too. And I watched Tyler a lot actually with Leeds United. So I see him play, and he's so impressive in the Premier League as well. So I feel like he's the one that dictates everything for the US, the tempo. He's so consistent in a team that struggles, I think, with consistency. I think he is really one of the most consistent players they have. And I also like the fact that he is wearing the captain's armband more consistently. It sounds like something like does it really matter who's wearing it? But for Christian Pulisic, whenever he has that extra responsibility, I feel like it's more of a burden to him because he's already the face of US soccer and he already has, everybody's eyes on him, wanting him to do well in attack and wanting him to score. But on the other side of that, I think Jude has been so impressive in the Bundesliga and in Champions League. And for two young players, they both played beyond their years. But I was so excited to see Jude get on the score sheet as well, because he was just asked by the English media before that game, oh, you haven't scored for England. And, they always have to find something, don't they, to bring them down right before the World Cup. But I know that was in the back of his mind. So to save it for the first match of I don't know why there's so many alarms going off this morning.
Turkey's ready.
To save it for the first match of the World Cup must have been a really special feeling for him.
The home nation has scored. They're down 1 with 10 minutes to go, so we'll keep an eye on that as we go. And I think that what we're staring at here is, and I know that we're going to be spending a lot of time drifting back and forth with this particular match. There's a lot of topics on the table. I think that regardless of the result today, you're looking at a win and in situation now for the United States with the matchup against Iran for match day 3, because this one, while you'd like to have a result if you're the United States, you get a point out of it.
Do you think they'll get it? Do you think they're going to get a point today, John?
It's going to be a tall order considering the depth that you were mentioning. It's like, when you're Gareth Southgate and you've got a starting 11, which I think is going to be the same unless you change Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier, which I don't know if he's going to do that. Mm-hmm. So, Gareth Southgate to me seems very, very set in his ways. If something's successful, I'm going to keep rolling with it until it isn't successful. I think that, when you can go to your bench, and you mentioned this before, when you can go to your bench and you can bring in Phil Foden, who I've heard is very good at the soccering. Then you could also bring in Jack Grealish, who I've heard is also very good at the soccering, or a Marcus Rashford. I mean, that's not bad when you can have that as a bench and you can sit there and go, yeah, your turn. I mean, it's almost an embarrassment of riches at times for Gareth Southgate. And I would think that at times it might even be troubling to try to figure out, who do I start in these situations, or do I just roll with what I've got?
Mm-hmm. I think so too, because especially after the last game, I mean, who did he bring on? He brought on Rashford, Grealish, who both scored. So now what do? Do you sit them on the bench, even though they just got a goal in the last game, and start the same 11? So it's champagne problems, isn't it, for Gareth Southgate to have. And by the way, I love Jack Grealish's celebration.
And the story that's attached with Finlay.
He honestly is. You just can't not smile when you're watching him talk about anything. But it's true. I'll be interested to see what lineup he goes with. On the other hand, though, I've heard rumblings of people talking about what lineup should Greg start, and I feel like that is almost the bigger question, because does he look ahead to the game against Iran, or does he roll out his very best 11 for this game against England? And I feel like you can't not put out your best 11 in this game, because it's a game of such magnitude and there's so many eyes on it. And what kind of message does that send to the team if you're kind of overlooking it? But then I'm sure it must be a bit of a thought in the back of his mind, and you have to tactically plan your way through this. But then again, England love to slip up and embarrass us. So I am not putting all my eggs in England's basket at all, because this would be prime time for us to suffer an embarrassment.
Senegal is added a third with 5.5 minutes to go. They now lead the host country by the score of 3-1. But this, to your point, the yellow card accumulation almost turns into its own subplot, because if you get the second one, then you're out for the subsequent match. And so you have a situation for the U.S. where with Dest and with McKinney, if they pick up yellows today, then they're not available for this win and in match against Iran. Mm-hmm. And you now wonder where, in theory, the match against England, if you end up losing, it doesn't matter, because once again, you're still 2 points behind Iran, and what you need to do, you need to beat Iran, and that's it. And I figured that Iran is going to take every New York subway train and just pretty much camp out in front of the goal and force the United States to try to get over the top of the L to the 7 train to make sure that they, because that's legitimate. Carlos Queiroz has gotten 3 points in the shock result earlier today, so it's just like, okay, make me, and I think that it's going to be on the United States. But when you only have those 2 yellow cards and you've got 2 players that you're wondering, okay, do I save them now? That's almost now a part of this new subplot, not just for the U.S. today while we're talking about it, but for a lot of teams down the line.
And also, injuries have been an interesting thing, haven't they? And I think everybody wasn't 100% sure how fit Weston McKennie would be and how fit Gio Reyna is. And then Gio Reyna comes out and says, no, I'm fully fit. It was just a coach's decision, which I think then ruffled some feathers.
Well, but what are you going to say? Are you going to sit there and say, no, I'm not? No, I'm dinged up. I'm not fine. I can't play. Even if you're not 100%, you were an athlete. When you were at USCB, the pride of the Sharks, you're not going to sit there and tell the opposition, oh yeah, I'm dinged up. I'm going to go out there and play.
Then why didn't we see him in the last game then? If he is, that is interesting. If he is, why didn't we at least see him come on at some point?
And I think that, I think that you're saving him. I mean, it's 10 minutes, and I understand what Greg is saying, but I think that
Are you
if you're
saving him for today, though, or are you saving him for the last game?
Oh no, I'm putting Reyna in today.
Yeah.
For that first match for the 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, Jordan Morris, whatever, fine. I'm saving. I didn't think that Reyna was healthy, frankly, for a full 270 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was cool with him not being out there for that first match, as long as I could have him for match day 2 and match day 3. Give me 90 and 90, or give me your best 90 and your best. I was cool with Reyna not being in there for the final 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll see him today as well, but I'm interested to see how much we'll see of him and how much we'll see of Weston, because I'm not even convinced that Weston is 100% either. And especially now on that yellow card as well, it really does play a factor, doesn't it, when you're looking ahead. I just have no idea what to expect in this game, honestly, John. I keep thinking of all these different scenarios. I'm thinking England should win. Yes, we have more attacking players. We've got better quality on paper. But then again, it's such a rivalry. Even just scrolling through Twitter this morning, I was just seeing I think it was on Fox's TikTok, say one nice thing about England, and then they're struggling. Oh, Guinness is okay, and that's Irish. there's just so much going into this game that's become, such a talking point, especially the day that it's being played on after Thanksgiving. Everybody's going to be at home watching it, so I'm very nervous. I love America a lot, but today I'm hoping that we're not going to be embarrassed, or even a point for England would be extremely disappointing.
Okay, because I mean, legitimately, say you win. So if we play the math out, and we do that here, you win today, you're at 6 points. All you would then need is a result in match day 3 against Wales, who won't have Wayne Hennessy because of the red card that he picked up early this morning against Iran, and Iran went on to win 2-0, and that's created the situation that we're in. So I think that everything is in benefit of England, especially after early this morning, to where I think that you need a combination of 4 points. You need 4 points in these last 2 matches to win your group.
Do we get 3 today, though, is the question.
Or do you get 3 against a shorthanded Wales side in match day 3? So yeah. I think that you're there either way. And to your point about McKennie, I was messing around with my lineup, and obviously I had the yellow card stuff in my brain. And so all right, so let me show you. Here's my notes on the match. That's my notes on the match and everything that I'm thinking about what's going on.
Yeah.
Starting 11 with crosses out and parentheses and keys and matchups and all this kind of stuff. So I was thinking, as you were saying, we don't know how healthy Weston McKennie is. Do you start Brendan Aronson? That's what I was thinking. Once again, McKennie, still not 100%, I don't think. Yellow card accumulation, so that leads me into Aronson. Starting Reyna as a part of this as well. And so I had Robinson, Zimmerman, and Ream, who are also on yellow card danger.
You're right, yeah.
And Dest, I was kind of like, maybe you start Joe Scally here to give Dest some rest and bring him in late. Aronson for McKennie, you have to have Tyler Adams, Reyna, Weah, Pulisic, and then probably Haji Wright instead of Josh Sargent. So I had a couple of changes for this group.
Yeah. I know I could see that too. I like the change for Brendan Aronson to come in as well. I think that side is the best attacking side for the US, no doubt. The right side with Robinson, if Aronson comes in, and then Christian Pulisic as well up top. I feel like that could be a really dangerous flank that we see. But to your point, I was impressed with the US, not in the second half against Wales. I think like everybody feels that way, but in the first half, that's when I thought they would struggle. I thought they would come into the first half and the occasion would really get to them. It almost felt like the opposite. They came in, so confident. And if you didn't know that a lot of these players hadn't played in a World Cup before and they were playing against Wales, it was interesting to see how it unfolded compared to what your expectations were. In the second half, though, I wanted to see them still attack. I think they sat in too soon, too early, and let Wales really bring it to them. And then, Wales, when you've got Gareth Bale, we've seen it for years, haven't we? Wherever he's played, even most recently in MLS Cup final, where he is capable of a moment of magic, isn't he? You know, he had that one in, where was it, in LA, and then he gets the penalty. You just know that it's going to go in. But I think that was a real 3 points lost for the US more than a point gain for Wales. That could have been their game to completely take it to them. So today I want to see them play with that same confidence. And I think that would have boded well for them, although they dropped points in the end. That first half, there was a lot of positives to take from it.
Yeah, and I think that this has also been a point that folks are knocking Greg Berhalter on, is that he's a little slow when it comes to change. And it's like he's a little slow in his reaction time, whether it's a tactic or it's a personnel change. Sometimes he's a little slow in turning the key and getting that engine warm and making that change that can trigger something for the United States.
I really like Greg Berhalter. I know that he's had a lot of you know, he's under the microscope, as is every single manager heading into the World Cup. I think sometimes the thing that cost the US is the management of the game, though. Like, I wanted to see them go for it on that occasion in the second half against Wales and not sit back. But then at times, the game is so open that I'm just thinking, just sit back for 5 minutes. You know, they've got such a high tempo, high pressing style. It sometimes is, you know, it's interesting to see in what moments they choose to do that. So that's my only questions around him, and obviously selections as well, and the players that he's brought in, and leaving certain players off. I was surprised to see Haji Wright, honestly, in the selections, but I'll be interested to see him if he plays today. But then again, when you get to, we've just even said about England, you don't know what you're going to get in these World Cup games. They're one-off games. You know, even against Iran in that first match, you have a little sense of doubt. No way did I think it would be 6-2 in the end. So,
right. Yeah, well, and I think that
nervous talking about it.
Well, but that, I think that, to your point, the two that Iran scored. Now, let me ask it this way: are the two that Iran scored against England more of a concern for fans of the Three Lions than the 6 that you did score?
No, I don't think so. Not for me, at least. And also, who was it who scored? I'm trying to think. Was it Mediterranean that scored? He is fantastic. I was actually really, from watching the Champions League so much, I was really happy to see him getting on the score sheet. And one of them as well, I think it was a penalty, wasn't it, in stoppage time?
Yeah,
so
it was.
I'm not too concerned, especially when you're winning by that margin, and it could have been more as well. I think that's the other thing. You look at 6-2, but I'm not sure off the top of my head how many shots they had on target, but I can remember a lot of them that they missed as well, or a lot of shots that they had. I think their conversion rate, I was reading, was actually very good in the end, but the amount of shots that they had and the amount of dangerous opportunities that they created against a team that was happy to sit in was really impressive. Because there was moments in that game where I was thinking, there's just too many bodies in the way. And then they still manage. Saka in particular, he's so good on the dribble. He creates so much space. So I think, considering how they played and how they sat in, it was a very, very promising from England.
Okay, so here's your numbers from England and Iran. 78% possession for England, 22% for Iran, 13 total shots for England, 7 on target, 8 total shots for Iran, only 3 on target.
So England scored 6 of their 7 on target, which I feel like never normally happens.
No, and 10 shots inside the box, 90% pass efficiency on 797 passes, 2/3 efficiency for Iran, 16 interceptions for Iran to 7, 23 clearances to 4 for Iran, understandably so, 13 tackles to 12 for England. So those are your numbers.
Yeah.
Off the top of, I went to SofaScore while you were talking. I was trying to pick
up to say that's impressive.
That's the beauty of all of that. All right. So
one thing that I am concerned about is Harry Kane.
Okay.
The US's fitness. I'm very worried about Harry Kane. If he is good to go, if his ankle, it's rumored, isn't it, to be another ankle problem for him. It looks like he is going to play, but yeah, he is, for me, the player for England. Well, one player on the pitch that's healthy and ready to go, he's going to be it. So that's a little worrying. Well,
and I think that the same thing, and we were having this talk also in the first half hour, where I think that Kieran Trippier reminds Christian Pulisic that he's going to be there in his hip pocket all day. I think the same thing should happen for somebody for the United States and Harry Kane. I think that because of that ankle, you sit there and you remind Harry Kane, hey, I'm going to be right here all day, and you wave at him. even though that if Kane can't go a full 90 or if something happens, you can still go to Marcus Rashford and Callum Wilson. So I mean, those folks are still there. One other thing that I wanted to get into you with about this matchup before you go, Poppy Miller, CBS Sports, fantastic to finally get you. As I said, trying to get Poppy Miller is like trying to grab onto a comet's tail, or trying to sit there and try to grab water through a garden hose. You're trying to grab water through a spigot like this, and that's what it's like to try to grab Poppy Miller. But we got her the day after Thanksgiving, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we're finally reunited.
No doubt about it, because this isn't just the second half hour of the show. What is it?
Oh, it's the P block is back.
There you go. P block is back. Glad you got to remember that. Getting in behind. I think that with Luke Shaw, Maguire, and Stones, I think that the opportunity is there for the United States to get in behind with their speed. I think that could also be something that you're staring at with the United States today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, what version of Christian Pulisic are we going to get? Are we going to get the brave version where he's wanting to take players on 1v1? I think the first 5 minutes of that game is going to be so telling, because we're either going to see, it's almost like a game of chess, isn't it? We're going to see if he has the confidence to get in behind, and then the team is really going to get behind him as well. Or are we going to see, because I didn't think the England back line was actually that bad. I know it was against Iran, but I had more worries heading into that game than what we actually saw. And I do think they'll be more tested today. However, I feel more confident in England's back line going into the game than I do in the US's attack. I will say the part that impresses me for the US is the outside backs getting forward. I feel like Anthony Robinson is the most dangerous player in attack going forward, putting balls in. It's almost like he's the one you've got to worry about. His late runs in, his deliveries into the box, he just doesn't stop. Mm-hmm. So I think that is going to be more interesting. Of course, everybody is going to have eyes on Christian Pulisic and trying to be aware of him and take him out of the game. But for me, the outside backs are going to cause more problems and more chaos in the box than I see the one-on-ones being. Okay,
so what's in the mug this morning? Is it coffee or tea?
It's tea.
And what kind?
English breakfast.
Okay.
You definitely can't see it on this awful camera I've got going on this morning, but I thought, shall I have coffee this morning? I said, no, today is the tea day for sure. If there's never been a tea day, it's today.
Okay, and then rapid fire. When did you put up your Christmas tree?
I put it up November 1st.
So as soon as Halloween, you just went ahead and just took Thanksgiving and went. You're off.
It might have been the second week, actually. It might have been November 7th, but it was pretty early.
And because there are those of us, and some of us here inside Office HD, that take it a holiday at a time.
Okay, but what do you put up for Oh, sorry, Halloween's different, but what do you put up for Thanksgiving? Some turkeys and some leaves?
There are some artificial turkeys and some orange lights that stay over from Halloween, like the orange Christmas light kind of things. And
even for Halloween, the decoration doesn't, I don't want to put spiders up.
No, I don't know. We don't put spiders up, but it's just like it's orange mood lighting, and there are turkeys and plates and things that celebrate Thanksgiving. And now that
I don't think I can't get into the turkey. I can get into the turkey tradition and the food, but the turkey decoration tradition, I'm still trying to get there with that.
And so, what's on your Christmas list?
Well, I'm going home, so that's what I'm most excited about. I'm heading back for a couple of weeks at Christmas to see my family. My sisters are actually coming here in a few weeks, so I actually haven't even thought about it. Not a lot, to be honest. I feel like that's very cliche, but I'll just be really excited to be at home and to see everybody.
And you're going to go catch a Birmingham City match?
I'm not going to go to Birmingham City. Got to go to the Forest, the mighty Red. That's the only game I'm going to. Forest.
So what's the deal without the sponsor? I mean, why do you not have a sponsor on the front of your jersey?
I honestly have no idea. I don't like it, though. A lot of people like it and say it looks very clean. I think they look like training kits without it. But I guess we don't need it. Look at all the players that we brought in this summer. Yeah, so I mean, apparently not. It's weird, though, no?
No, I actually like the fact that it's just clean. But
you like the
also,
kit? You don't think they look like training kits?
Oh, I think it looks like a training kit. I do like it. I mean, I would like a sponsor, and I'm sure that Steve Cooper would like a sponsor in the front of the thing.
You know what I would like for Christmas is Forest to not be in the relegation zone.
There you go. I was wondering because there is the running gag, there is the running joke that there will be more transfers in and out than points.
Yeah, that's very, very possible, honestly.
So,
I don't know. I think we survived, though. Again, the optimist in me is talking, but I'm glad. I'm also very glad that they renewed Steve Cooper's contract. I like to see that. You know, not on the same level, but it was only last year, wasn't it? Everyone was saying, Arteta out, his run has come to an end in London. We need to go in a different direction. And I'm not saying that Steve Cooper is Mikel Arteta or that we have the same structure that Arsenal have, but yeah, I'm glad to see that they've stuck by him.
So are you? When's the first match that you're going to go see at City Ground?
I think I'm going to go on Boxing Day.
There you go.
So I don't know who they're playing. Let me have a quick look. So it's the day after Christmas. Oh, actually, it's Old Trafford, Manchester United against Forest. So
wow.
The day out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, so that's your Boxing Day. So I mean, but at least now you're going to take pictures. You're going to do the whole thing about going home and all that, right?
Yeah. I'm sure I'll take a photo or two.
Okay. And then I got to figure out a shopping list for when you go home. I got to get all that stuff. All right. So give me the plug for those that want to follow you on social media and on CBS Sports. How do they do it?
Which, by the way, do you have a Forest scarf behind you? You have so many.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Right. Yes, you have to have. Who have you got behind?
Okay. So let me take down
crazy club you've got behind you.
Probably Sheriff Tiraspol.
Wow, do you?
Yes. All right. So I'm gonna violate a TV. I'm gonna violate a tenant here for video. I'm gonna show you. All right. So
is that piano?
Here's how long my cord is. So
wait, is that a piano behind you? I can't see from that.
There's our boys AFC Richmond with my boy Lasso. We got that. Let's see. Let me see. Here's Sheriff. Yeah, here's Sheriff Tiraspol right here. Right there.
Amazing. What a night that was, by the way, when they beat Real Madrid. I still think it's one of the craziest nights in football.
No doubt. Let's see. Let me see. Now, since I don't have range, I will show you, the League One final, the USL League One final, all the way over there. Ukraine National, Little Rock Rangers from the NPSL, Fortuna Dusseldorf right there, Estonian national team, Mississippi Bria from the NPSL, have a couple of Atlanta United. Let's see, Greenville and that was Greenville, and who did they play? It was in the Carolinas. Greenville Triumph, and whenever they played in U.S. Open Cup. Let's see, Sacramento Republic. You're having me do this quick. Let's see, Louisiana Crew from League Two, one of our originals. Atlanta United, AFC Wimbledon when they got promoted to League One after they beat Crew Alexandra, and the Beast got Akinfenwa got the PK in the end. Let's see, Tormenta, Asheville City, all of those. Oh, by the way, for scarves, shower rods. Shower rods are amazing.
Oh, really? Is that what you've got up?
Yeah, that's what I've got up. The shower rod, Greenville Liberty. MLS for St. Louis before they turned into an actual team. Shakhtar Donetsk, by the way.
You need a Victoria Pilsen one, actually, seeing as they've been a bit of a Champions League.
This is what I'm saying. So, yeah. So that is what is basic here. Oh, and the no side hustles from the NWSLPA right here.
Love that. The Forest one will be added come January.
See, and it takes a prime position. But all right, so how do they stay in touch with you and watch you and do all those things?
So I'm on Instagram at Poppy Miller 3 and on Twitter at _Poppy Miller.
And so what's your prediction today?
I'm going to go 3-1 England.
Okay. All right. It is on the record.
What are you doing?
It is fantastic to see you, my friend.
Wait, what's your prediction?
Yes.
Come on, give us one.
I'll go 2-1.
To who?
England. I think England's going to win 2-1. I just think it's got too much firepower.
You think it's going to be close, though?
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be close. I think that England gets out to a 2-0 lead, and then the U.S. gets one chasing the match, and then it's going to be a frantic 15 minutes.
I hope for a good game, honestly. That would be nice.
Yes. So fantastic to have the P block return here to SDH.
Yes, it's so good to see you. Thank you so much for having me. And again, apologies about my camera and the light.
But I think here's the deal. I think that because you have an open curtain off your right shoulder,
it's not a good setup. I really thought it was going to be great with the shirt and the it didn't match. It didn't match.
So I think that the incoming light off your right shoulder, combined with the fuzziness with the tree. Now you have all these light sources coming in behind you, and it's this big cameo silhouette kind of effect. I forget which is
true.
Just
next time will be better.
Well, you could always dial in from Forest.
Oh yes, well I'll let you know if I get to Old Trafford, because I think that's the only match that I'm going to be there for. But yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Just dial in from Nottingham. You could just sit there and give us a tour of Nottingham.
That's true.
Like walk around with your phone.
At home, yeah. Give you a tour of England.
Yeah, give us a tour of England while you're there. Thank you for doing this. It's fantastic to see you. Glad the P block was resurrected. Enjoy the match, even though I know that you'll be gnashing your teeth and trying to trim your nails and have about 9 different cups of your tea there with you. But Poppy, fantastic to see you, and great Thanksgiving. Just be safe and enjoy the match. We'll catch up soon, my friend.
You too. Thanks so much, John. I'll see you soon.
Poppy Miller, CBS Sports, hanging out with us. And that's always fun. It's always fun to keep up with Poppy and see what's going on with her. All of her time, all the way back with her time with the Charleston Battery. Great to see that she is up there doing so many fantastic things with CBS Sports HQ, the Serie A coverage, Champions League, all that kind of stuff. So Poppy's going to be a nervous fan of England and see what's going on there. So, all right, back to actually, since it's halftime, let's get into what is going on, and it's time to do things that we do at halftime. So that means we adjust the music all the way down to 20. It always pops up at 50. I don't know why this is. And time to read a promo. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go, and it's our friends at Eliminate Service. Since I took for those of you watching on Twitch, since I took the banner down, so you can see all the scarves here in Office HD. And, hey, don't drop it. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go, it's Eliminate Service, deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. Eliminate Service has created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminate Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. The turnkey process makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers kind to the environment, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when you reach under the cupboard or below you in the sink, and you pull out that particular masking agent, you spray it in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent. You're just masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem like our friends at Eliminate Service do with their proven scientific formula all the way down to the molecule destroying the odors. Priced in very, very easy, one of two ways. Either cubic feet or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, go to the website, eliminate.com. But do us a favor. Add /Atlanta after the .com so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so that they can help you address your problems. Your full homework assignment, Eliminize.com, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, Eliminize.com /Atlanta. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, Eliminate Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Friday. Fade the music and have it crash, take it out of loop, and turn the music off, and we're back up and running. Okay. All right. So I know a couple of you guys added D. Graham. You put Pulisic at the 10 so he can be involved in the game. Weah on the left, Reyna on the right. Right back is key. Dester, Scally have to find a way to be involved. No doubt. Emilio, trees up and running by Halloween. See, yeah, the boss doesn't allow that. And what we do here is we take it a holiday at a time. and now that Thanksgiving is over and we have Christmas is the next one, we reserve our Christmas tree. And we had the error of not doing that with the particular church that we always get our tree from. There was one year where we slipped and we didn't get the tree reserved. And so we were fishing around all over the place trying to find a tree. And we got the most Charlie Brown Christmas tree that we could find. And we made it our own, and it was cool. But we have learned that we have to reserve our tree. We have already reserved it, and we will pick it up soon. I think we're eligible to pick it up now, but I don't know if we're going to pick it up yet or if we're going to pick it up next weekend. Well, I can't pick it up next weekend because the boss is out of town. So we might end up picking it up this week. But yeah, the key for us was to reserve the tree. And so that way we know that the place that we get the tree from isn't going to sell it out from underneath us. So that's what we do. We take it a holiday at a time here. And now that Thanksgiving is done, the boss is ready to celebrate Christmas. So that's where we are. And so, like I said, I know a lot of folks do things a little differently, and that's where we are. All right, getting into activities with Croatia and Canada. You might remember that John Herdman said in his post-match comments that they were going to F up Croatia, or they were going to F Croatia. That really wasn't taken too kindly in the Croatian papers. One of the tabloids in Croatia has a Photoshop of John Herdman's head on a naked body and took the quote from Herdman, and they basically said on the front of this tabloid, and it's readily available. I got mine from Christian Jack on Twitter. You have the mouth, but do you have the balls as well? That's front page. That's front page stuff as Croatia and Canada get ready. So, and so we'll see what happens there with those two. But yeah, so it's going to be that kind of a match. All right. So also on the board we have a final in the World Cup earlier today from the match that we were staring at and kind of talking about, but really didn't talk a whole lot about. Senegal beats the host nation by the score of 3-1 at a -137. So the host nation is eliminated from advancing out of group stage. Senegal puts themselves in a position with Netherlands and Ecuador coming up. Senegal now is up to 3 points. So if you're Senegal, then what you are looking for is a draw with Netherlands and Ecuador. And the match for Senegal in match day 3 for them is with Ecuador. So you're looking to make sure that Netherlands and Ecuador don't advance far away from you. And that one's the next one on the list coming up at, that's the next match coming up today, Netherlands and Ecuador at 11 o'clock Eastern time. Netherlands are favored at a -120. Your draw's a +249. Ecuador is a +388. So that's what you're staring at. Ecuador, a big underdog. Netherlands, a prohibitive favorite in that one. So we'll see what happens with match 3 on the day. Match 4, obviously, England and the United States. Wild Heaven, noon. That's when we will kind of have our own little, not so little round table, round robin kind of a thing. It'll be great to see everybody and be there at Wild Heaven at noon, and we'll catch up with all of you there. And I think we're going to go from, I think that those of us who are here from like noon to about 1:30, and then we'll get ready for the match at 2 o'clock, and we'll watch the match there for a little while and see what's going on. So we'll get ready for that. And don't forget, we'll have the end of the day wrap up. That's going to be posted later today. And then our friends up in Canada, the Fired Up Network, they have their daily review preview with host Joseph Pasek and Canadian Hall of Fame soccer coach Carmen Asako. And so they will have their review. Those will be up later today on the network as well. All right. So gossip, rumor, innuendo, things left unsaid. Time to catch the gossip in the papers before we go, because as we all know, gossip never stops and player talk never stops. So here's what we see. Chelsea ready to open talks with Leandro Trossard, whose contract with Brighton expires next summer. That's from our friends at Football Insider. Al Hilal exploring a deal to sign Portugal and a former Manchester forward, CR37. That's from Sky. Real Madrid said it, quote, would not make any sense in our sports project, end quote, to bring Ronaldo back to the club for a second spell. That's from AS. Flamengo looking at whether they would be able to sign Ronaldo. That's from Veja in Portuguese. Manchester City midfielder Bernardo Silva believes Ronaldo's proved that he can still play at the top level after making World Cup history. That's from the Mirror. The head coach for the Ghanaian side basically called out the ref and said that the PK was a gift. And it was soft, but, you know, when you have that contact, you're going to go down, and then you end up getting the PK for Cristiano Ronaldo, the second person to score in 5 World Cups. Always number 2 is the joke that was circulating on social media. So Marta was the one who scored in 5 Women's World Cups. CR37, the first to score in 5 Men's World Cups. Ronaldo and PSG forward Lionel Messi could work together at the forefront of Saudi Arabia's 2030 World Cup bid, with the current tournament in the host nation it's at expected to be their last, according to the Mirror. Amancio Ortega, owner of the Inditex empire that owns the fashion chain Zara, is interested in buying Manchester United. That's from the Manchester Evening News. Apple are also interested in buying United for $5.8 billion. That's from the Daily Star. From the 4-letter paper, former Manchester United exec Ed Woodward has been approached by groups seeking to buy the club, asking him to act as a consultant. Once again, it's from the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Inter Milan will extend the loan spell of Romelu Lukaku by another year, Sky Italia. Chelsea interested in signing Porto keeper Diogo Costa, who has a release clause of €75 million, while Manchester United are also monitoring the 23-year-old Portuguese international. It's from Relevo. Arsenal concerned about keeping hold of their Spanish manager, Mikel Arteta, because Barca have set their sights on making their former youth player their future coach. That's sport in Spanish. Adrien Rabiot says the World Cup can help him earn a new contract at Juve, where his current deal expires in the summer, or move elsewhere. That's from La Repubblica. A growing number of clubs believe Germany striker Youssoufa Moukoko is ready to leave Borussia Dortmund when his contract expires at the end of the year. Villa keeping tabs on Sevilla Morocco international keeper Yassine Bounou. Real Madrid, Brazil forward Rodrigo may have to pay a termination clause of €7 million after splitting from his agent, Nick Arcuri. Barca shifting their focus from new signings to contract negotiations with the club's most talented young players at the turn of the year. That's from Mundo Deportivo. Newcastle will rival Barca for the signature of Vasco da Gama's 18-year-old Brazilian midfielder Andre Santos. QPR expecting manager Michael Beale to leave the club to take over as Rangers' new boss. That's from TalkSport. PSG considering leaving the Parc des Princes and potentially moving to the Stade de France. We talked about that the other day. And where the French government would be more than happy to have QSI purchase the Stade de France. So we'll see what happens there with that. Getting into the British papers and seeing what is happening there. Let's see if we can dial that up quickly before we get into Amancio Ortega, by the way, is 86 years old, and it looks like he's ready to. He's one of the 20 richest people on the planet, so we'll keep an eye on that. We mentioned Diogo Costa. Daily Telegraph, the sale price for Manchester United could be lower than some analysts have predicted because of the cost likely to be incurred by any purchaser on updating a crumbling Old Trafford. So we'll keep an eye on that. So the Daily Star reminds us about the Apple bid, and they call Apple a surprising suitor for the Premier League club. Iran's players at the World Cup closely watched by, quote, secret agents, according to a prominent human rights activist. Avoiding the 3-letter paper and the 4-letter paper. Independent. UEFA is still to be notified when the independent review into the chaotic scenes at May's Championship League final will be published. They had been due by the end of November. Also, let's see. Daily Record, CF Montreal president Gabriel Gervais insists he's not in the host nation for the international competition to conduct any transfer negotiations amid Celtic links with defender Alistair Johnston. But this morning, Alistair Johnston looks like he's heading that way. And Dundee United owner Mark Ogren looking for the club to climb off the foot of the Scottish Premiership, committed to investing in the team after posting improved financial figures. So that's your look there. D. Graham, I'm checking on Christine Sinclair. I think that Marta was the first on the women's side to score in 5 World Cups. So Christine Margaret Sinclair, OCOBCOLY. All right, so 190 goals in her club career. So 3 goals in 03, 07. So that's 2. 11, she scored there. 15, scored there. 19, scored there. So, yes, she has 5 as well. But, yes, Marta was the first. Christine Sinclair has also done it. But, yes, and so, yes, D. Graham, you are correct. Also scored in 5 straight, and she's got that streak running. So that's where we are with Christine Sinclair. Checking to see if there's anything else going on before we go and get ready for what's up with the tournament. So, yeah, for the host nation, first team eliminated from the tournament. So we'll keep an eye on that. So Bamba Dieng with a World Cup goal today. And it looks like the bet. Oh, okay. So T-Bone, Travis Hancock from the flagship station for Charlotte FC has a I don't know how to describe it, but T-Bone WFNZ, or go to Just Talks Footy. And if the United States was to win their match today against England, T-Bone has the shirt. It is a dress shirt that has the stars and bars. It's got the stars on each shoulder and the stripes going north and south. It is a dress shirt that has the sleeves cut off. And apparently Jess is supposed to wear that if England loses today. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens there. Yeah. So yeah. Let's check and see if there's any other news that's out there that's going on. What was that news that we saw yesterday? News involving Atlanta United, and we'll keep an eye on that. There was a player that it looks like, and once again, once we talk about following sources and all of that. So this came from Juan Carlos Jimenez in Colombia. 8,000 followers on Twitter. So once again, take this for what you wish. Radio Juan CJH, Juan Carlos Jimenez. And he has Sebastian Guerra, a keeper for Atlético Nacional, is not going to continue playing for Atlético Nacional. Player would go free to Atlanta United Major League Soccer after not renewing with the club, and the contract runs through the end of the calendar year. So keep an eye on keeper Sebastian Guerra from Atlético Nacional in Colombia, possibly making his way north once again. Just keep an eye on your sources, and we will keep an eye on that possible transaction if it comes to pass after the end of the calendar year. So once again, we'll keep an eye on that. Other things going on before we go. And like I said, once again, we're going to wrap this up in a little bit so we can all get ready for what's going to happen at Wild Heaven. Wild Heaven's going to have the celebration all day long, and anticipated to see a lot of you. And it's going to be great to see a lot of you today when it comes to this particular match. Let's see. So it is apparent that Gareth Southgate is going to name an unchanged side. This is from Rob Dorsett from Sky. Name an unchanged England starting lineup. Recovery from ankle injury for Harry Kane means he'll lead the attack, planning to keep Kieran Trippier at right back despite Kyle Walker's return to fitness. Don't change a winning team. James Maddison aside, the rest of the squad have been given a clean bill of health. Everyone's available for selection. Looking at the right ankle, apparently he was moving. Harry Kane was moving around pain-free. Biggest plus for the England side, according to Rob. Kane is the only irreplaceable. The only irreplaceable. So only one man whose absence dramatically weakens in England's starting 11. He will start, as will Harry Maguire, who gets his 50th international cap. And a lot of folks were looking at Maguire, who has recovered from the illness that had him sent off the match at Khalifa last time out, Khalifa International Stadium. Southgate, and this is from Rob, rarely tinkers with his defense if it's performing well. And while there were concerns about how easily a demoralized Iranian attack managed to penetrate in the second half, scoring one poorly marked goal and a dodgy penalty. Rob expects England to stick with the flat back four. Formation allows for an extra man in the midfield, which could be critical. And that's where Rob thinks Jude Bellingham's athleticism comes sharply into focus. Scored his first England goal and his first country's goal in the tournament against Iran. More importantly, brought a mobility and an energy to England's midfield crucial against the Americans. Player of the match against Iran could prove to be one of England's most important players as the tournament progresses. Bellingham is their traditional number 8 England have been lacking and looking for many years, a proper box-to-box player with a fine-tuned engine and an aptitude for attack as much as defense. He has made himself undroppable. Same can be said of Bukayo Saka. Unless there are fitness issues behind the scenes, Southgate hasn't revealed maybe the only area where he has a significant decision to make is at right back, and it's Kyle Walker versus Kieran Trippier. So we'll keep an eye on that. Transfer center. Now going quickly. Trevor Chalobah signed a long-term extension at Chelsea, committed to the Blues till at least June of 2028. Club option to extend to 2029. Academy grad, 13 appearances so far this season in all comps, featuring predominantly as a right-sided central defender in a back three under Graham Potter. So you've got that. Don Garber on Sky on the Ronaldo and Messi rumors. Quote, I've been hearing all the rumors everyone else has been hearing, although none about Ronaldo. Obviously, it's very new. I'm sure those rumors will pop up over time, but I can't comment on whether a team is interested in him or not. There has been interest in Messi. We're big believers in the formality of the rules, so he's under contract. Lino will decide what he's going to do. He'd be great in our league, having somebody of his stature, giving us a global platform to talk about MLS, not just in the ecosystem of our country, but shot around the world. Wouldn't be surprised if we heard more rumors about Messi in particular, end quote. Hakeem Ziyech says it's difficult to say, in quotation marks, whether he'll still be a Chelsea player at the end of January amid significant interest from a number of Serie A clubs. That, once again, is from the three-letter paper, so we'll keep that in mind. Iran players did sing the national anthem this morning, so we'll keep an eye on that as we continue to go as well. D. Graham, allegedly, CL Charlotte offered $6.5 million for Enzo Copetti, but it wasn't high enough, so we'll keep an eye on Enzo Copetti going forward. And we'll see what else is going on there. Taking a tour of some of our favorite writers, those dudes that actually have earned all of their stripes. Celtic. Okay, so here's how it is with Celtic and Alistair Johnson. It is a verbal agreement with CF Montreal, soon to be probably Impact, maybe, on a permanent deal. Now waiting for final details. The contract will be discussed in order to get the deal done and sealed. Brazilian talent Mateus França could join European football soon. 2 clubs in the Premier League pushing to sign him from Flamengo in 2023. Final fee expected to be around 15 to 20 million. Negotiations are still ongoing. We mentioned Trevor Chalobah. Bayern keen on reaching an agreement with Lucas Hernandez over a new contract in the next months. Remember, Hernandez is also out of the tournament, the remainder of the tournament with a knee injury. Talks will continue in order to discuss key details of his new deal. Feeling is for Benjamin Pavard to leave in the summer, so Hernandez could stay and extend. And so Alejandro Balde on a contract renewal with Barcelona, working on it, wants to stay at Barca. What has to happen will happen. Negotiations already underway and will continue. Both parties are confident. All right, once again, remember, noon, Wild Heaven. There's going to be a lot of us there. And so we're going to be catching up with folks and talking a lot. Keys to the match, some of the stuff we've already talked about with Poppy Miller. I will go back over. I will bring my notebook. I will bring all of my notes with me. And we will discuss there at Wild Heaven from like 12 to 1:30. Great to see all of you there. It'll be great to be out here on a Black Friday, and we will wrap things up there. We'll watch the match. I'll watch some of it before I have to go do my high school football duties, but it'll be good to see everybody there. And we'll start discussing things about noon. Remember, we'll have the wrap-up, the review preview on the SDH side. That'll be up later this afternoon after all the matches are final. We will also have our friends from Canada, the Fired Up Network. We're going to post their thoughts with Hall of Fame coach up in Canada, Carmen Asako, and host Joseph Pasek. That'll be up on the network also later this afternoon as well, as they get ready for their match where John Herdman's getting called up by Croatian papers. So we'll see what happens there. But no, it'll be great to see everybody. Thanks for all of you for hanging out. Great to have Poppy Miller in the P Block back. And so We'll post Poppy's segment separately. We'll post the show on the whole, and we'll get you ready for England and the U.S. on the podcasting side. So since it is Black Friday, if you shop today, enjoy your shopping. May you get everything that you wish for, or wait till Cyber Monday when a lot of us do a lot of the other shopping that we don't get done today. Because we got stuff to talk about today. It's England and the U.S. That's coming up at 2 o'clock. And thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. And we will have the wrap-up shows throughout the weekend, the review previews and stuff like that. But first things first, enjoy your day. Hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, and if you celebrated the way that you wished, if it was loud and boisterous with a lot of friends and family, or if it was quiet with not as many friends and family, or you just wanted to celebrate the way that you did. And hope that your holiday was a fantastic, or was celebrated the way that you wish. Be safe, everybody, throughout the rest of this weekend. We got a game at 2 o'clock, folks. England and the U.S., and we'll talk about it a lot between now and the time that the next match pops up. So since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do one thing. Mucha plati, all played safe. Enjoy the games. I get to do this. We'll see you at Wild Heaven in just a little bit, or we'll catch up with you over the weekend and on Monday.